Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
As always, guys, thanks for your support over on Patreon. Couldn't do it without the Patreon family.
We are super grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, there's so much going on and more of the same, and it just seems like certain things are just intensifying every time we look, and other things, the pushback is intensifying. So here you got some parts of Central America expecting to get up to 4 feet of rain. That's insane. In 2 weeks. This is the Central American gyre. That word, it makes me think of the Beaufort gyre, which is up in the Arctic. And what happens with that is when that flushes out, reverses direction, you can end up having all sorts of rapid climate change in Europe and North America. Thankfully, we're not talking about that at this point in time. But again, 52 inches? Wow! 52 inches? You want to talk? We know we're going to be watching all sorts of crazy videos over the next 2 weeks in this area.
Well, it's already horrible. We already have seen some really strange things go on right there in Florida. Sure, it gets bad and it floods a lot in Florida, but that was really insane. To have things so high up and so many people caught off guard, and the water just sort of moved right on in. It didn't seem like it had a lot of people saying, get out of the way, or it just felt like it just showed up. It was weird.
Well, everything in this world is distorted, and even the way the water situation is. They talk about oceans underneath our feet that have massive amounts of water. And the fact that space is not an empty vacuum. In fact, what we got from the guides is that space is in some ways a less dense form of water. The sun is, again, doing what? It's throwing off vast amounts of the H and H2O. So, things are just distorted. Again, there's no real need for any sort of lack of anything. And at the same time, I do think nature, in reality, is much more gentle than what we see on this planet, because this is not natural.
No, it's not natural. There's an art to living with nature. And many of us, unfortunately, we've grown up in homes where we're not really one with nature. And it's very, very hard to get there right now. But that doesn't mean we cannot speak to the elements and have ourselves heard, because it's always listening. The etheric realm all around you, your body, it's always listening. So it's very important what we think, feel, and say and put out there to the universe, because it can hear you.
Look at him. He's strapped for safety reasons as they're going to retrieve what they can from the car. There's nobody in the car. This is Ivory Coast. It doesn't matter if we're in Africa, South America, Europe, North America, Asia. This is going on everywhere. Thankfully not in Antarctica that we know about. But it's everywhere. You're seeing these massive floods going on. It makes you think about mud flood. I don't know how you couldn't think about the mud flood phenomenon. And then we have the WW3 thing as well, as you have Russian nuclear submarine spotted off Scotland's coast that ended up making the Prime Minister react to that. Again, I'm sure he knew this was all probably happening. It's all the drama for you and us to witness and to be convinced that it's not pre-planned. But it just as with Event 201, 2 months before it actually happens, they really do think we're pretty stupid. But, the planet is waking up, and it's waking up really fast. Meanwhile, Sweden announces that Russian Su-24 tactical bomber violated Swedish airspace south of Gotland yesterday. It was the first Russian violation of Swedish airspace since 2022. And on Monday, 4 Russian military planes violated Finnish airspace. Pokken and Prodden. How about this? Chinese animation showing the destruction of an American aircraft carrier by supersonic YJ-12 anti-ship missiles fired. Again, we've seen this so many times from different Islamic nations, we can say, like Yemen and Iran. You've seen these types of things being put out. We've seen it from North Korea. It's kind of the first one I can remember. Maybe there have been others from China. So if you can't see what they're cooking, it's pretty obvious. And meanwhile, President Zelensky over in Ukraine introduced a law that allows them to harvest body organs without consent. And I'm sure that's going to fund another one of his mansions or vacation homes.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that makes me really nervous is, I don't know, who's going to model after this? You know, they're going to watch and see what happens and how it works and protect it and perfect it. I mean, perfect it and bring it over here.
From ABC News, WHO acknowledges the bird flu patient in Mexico that died of other medical conditions. You know, it's just unraveling so fast. What else do they got up their sleeves? When you look around the world, Naples, you know, think about Naples. It was such a amazing tourist destination. This is Naples. Unfortunately, this looks like many other places, whether we're talking, you know, San Fran, LA. It's just the culture is so destructive. When you have, you know, the fentanyl that's coming over the border, which, yeah, much of it's coming from China, but when you look back and, you know, look to history, the Opium Wars, the British did it to the Chinese are doing it to us. It's a round robin. This never ends. This is just what they do. And yeah, the fall of Rome, but the Roman Empire just shifted location. This is again what's happening right now. There's really no difference. And we see Louisiana keeps pushing back, and they are set to legalize the sale of raw milk in Louisiana. They've also said they won't go along with anything that they don't want to from the WHO, UN, WEF. And they've also gone out and starting to do legal lawsuits against Fauci and Birx and Walensky and others. Yeah, things really are heating up, and I would expect that they're going to start that WW3 because, I mean, look at how it's all unraveling, and certain areas are really pushing back. Do you know that South Africa has the world's deepest gold mine? Well, again, it's been theorized that, you know, this is the land of Enki in more ways than one, the land of the Anunnaki, and their fingers are all over this. In fact, there's mines there that predate Homo sapiens' existence. Who was running them? It should be pretty obvious. There's also mining operations that are pretty obvious for the even just slightly trained eye all over the world. You know, the American West is loaded with mining operations that are ancient. We are still being harvested for our raw materials, and, you know, many things, including we are being harvested by the control system, the real control system. Did you hear about this in Idaho? Cutting off the water. You know, why are tens of millions of healthy chickens being killed? And again, cutting off the water supply, and then you get a lithium and cobalt, what's that word that they're using here? Agreement put in place for mining for lithium and cobalt. Again, this is part of the technology that at the moment is the hot thing, and a lot of people are speculating and investing in, which probably will crash and burn in the blink of an eye. Yeah, this was hidden in that bill that they just passed. over 200 politicians invested in this company mining cobalt. The corruption is it's so beyond belief. I think a lot of people have a hard time believing, but the corruption's real. This is why you're not going to be able to fix this system. The whole system's got to go, but we don't want a Russian or Chinese system either. None of the systems on this planet are any good. None of them are worth it. So we need to come up with something new and completely eliminate the old.
I think you really need to have politicians so they're not making so much money, so that maybe they make a less than the average person. If they really want to be of service, then that's great. That's wonderful. That's beautiful. That's terrific. But they shouldn't be able to pad their pockets and their bank accounts and their family members' bank accounts and everyone else around them. I mean, it's just such an obvious racket on every level.
Yeah, it's just such corruption. They honestly should all be rounded up and shipped off to Mars with Elon and co. Meanwhile, that fake meat that Gil Bates was pushing forever is linked to heart disease, early death. Of course, of course, we shouldn't really be surprised about this. And, that desire to push it because, again, they want everything for themselves. And there's too many of us, and that's a big problem for them. When you look to his land that he owns, in case you haven't seen this, 268,984 acres that could be used for massive farming production. And, coincidentally, the most acreage is in Louisiana, and then Arkansas, you see, is right after it. Is he really going to farm it? No, he's going to let it sit. He doesn't want you or I or anybody else farming it because this is part of their agenda. It's just so beyond obvious. Everything that they tell us in the history books is contrived. Look at that perfect cut. What possibly could have made this? And look where we are, by the way. As you see a pyramid right there, that looks like the Great Pyramid. And, again, there's so much hidden all around the globe that show there's been advanced technology here way beyond the creation of Homo sapiens from other different branches of human, and not necessarily ape proto-human, because you got to realize too, even though the Sumerian stories tell a lot more than the Bible does, they're still given from the Anunnakian, Draconian, Aegian systems perspective. They're still, even those stories, are from the victors of the war. The invasion, the ET invasion happened thousands and thousands of years ago. In fact, it's well documented, again, in the Hindu scriptures and also among other Native American and other indigenous tribes, whether it's Australia, Africa, or Asia as well. Has anybody ever seen this before? I haven't seen exactly that before.
No, I haven't seen exactly that before either, but it was really, really curious because we did do a little bit of a channeling and a video about the sun. And to me, when I saw this, the first thing I thought of is when you take a flashlight that has like a plate over it and you shine it to the ground at nighttime or in other times, a lot of times you get these rings there, don't you? That's what I remember.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I've mentioned this many times. I just wanted to show this. This is a map from 1562. And look at this, Gigantivum Regio, the region of the giants. And this is in Patagonia. So this is down in the southern tip of South America. There are so many maps with this. So many maps with the same representations of giants that look to be 10 feet tall, maybe 12 feet tall in some cases. And they all seem friendly. They all seem friendly. These guys are out bow hunting. This guy's got a pole arm. Still, it's just so curious to see these maps. Oh, and there's mer people too. I wonder if they know Owans, or do they know Dagon? Maybe. Curious. I don't know. But again, never underestimate nature. Nature can score, absolutely, and they can know what they're doing. I mean, look at animals. To say that an animal doesn't have emotions or a soul is, to me, just insane. I mean, that's just like somebody making a statement that, hey, I really don't know anything, I'm an idiot. And just to be so blunt, because, again, of course they do. They have souls. It's so obvious. They have emotions. They feel happy. They feel sad. They feel angry. At times, they feel fearful and frightened. It's just a different vehicle. And the reality is, again, lives depend on people waking up and smartening up. And, ignorance and following along blindly has led us to, one extermination event after another. So it really is time for the world to wake up en masse.
Mm-hmm. It is. And these animals, although they are simply in a different vehicle, they might have slightly different thought patterns, and they might have a different way to go about things. They have all the same soul that you have, the same reasoning, the same calculations. It's just in a different vehicle, and they have different needs that need to be met, but they can understand things, they can see things, they can copy things, they can mimic things. And we really need to pour our hearts out to our animals out there, because there's so many dogs and cats and other animals that are extremely neglected, and it's needless. They're neglected in a way because people think, oh well, it's not human, it's just a dog, I can dump it. And they just do that, and they dump animals all over the place, or they simply do not go out and feed them. Anybody who has animals in a corral or in a barn, and besides having like a major medical issue, and that's when you reach out to family to help you with these animals, they are 100% dependent on you to get water, to get food, to get anything. And they are so grateful and so beautiful and so graceful. I think the condition of animals in our world shows a lot about who we are. I do send as much as energy as I can out there to our animals that need help. I think it's effective, and I think it's worth it.
Yes, absolutely. I guess we say it because we see it all the time. Out in the country, we see dogs abandoned all the time, or they're left out all the time. And when it's winter time and the dog is out in the yard and it's howling and it's cold and it's sad because it's really, really cold and abnormal, some of those abnormal stretches of weather, it's just, it just really breaks our heart. So
it is unfortunate. So please don't forget your pets. Make sure they have plenty of water and they can get out of the sun if your area is really, really hot. I don't think people are mean, but sometimes people forget. They just forget that animals have feelings too, and they can die in the hot sun without water, just like anything else.
Yes, and some people are mean just because some people allow the dark entities to take them over. Again, in conscious and also in unconscious ways often. And there absolutely are those dark parasitic entities out there. So again, keep your vibes high, keep your light shining. This is a challenging time that we're in, but again, it's through working together and coming together that we will overcome. As we were in the farmer's market today, and it was just insanity. It was so busy. It was, just thriving, and long lines everywhere. Everybody is saying they've never seen it like this before. Well, this is an awakening. See, people are getting it. And I was talking to one lady, and I was surprised, because I was mentioning organic, and needing to eat healthy and stuff, and she understood, and it really just surprised me how much she understood. Even out in the country, not that the country people don't understand, but again, you got a lot of people where we are that are still living the way people did a long time ago, which is simply and with nature as much as possible, and that is absolutely the way to go.
And I just, before we go, I really want to point out that there seems to be a lot of progress being made as far as the darkness being pushed back. And I want you guys to please remember, do not underestimate your energy. Do not underestimate the power of meditation, mantras, pushing your intent out there. Co-creation is a big deal. So let's take the momentum that we have, embrace it, and just let's make that snowball bigger.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, there's light shining, and that makes the darkness a little bit more dangerous. But unequivocally, I'm seeing huge changes in people's awakening locally, with understanding how the food is poison, toxic, how certain things that the system wants us to embrace is not helping us. So this is wonderful. There is a big awakening. So that's great. Just again, stay prepared.
Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.